The Bagoso Prestea mine has recorded its first gold pour after 24 months of complete shutdown, a major milestone, signaling the resumption of production and renewed economic activity in host communities. The managing director of Heath Goldfields, Patrick Appiah-Mensah, says the development marks a turning point for the historic mine, which had faced prolonged operational and financial difficulties. Addressing members of the media, Mr. Appiah-Mensah described the gold pour as a symbol of resilience and responsible Ghanaian leadership, declaring that the mine is no longer a story of decline. According to him, when Heath Goldfields assumed control of the mine a year ago, it inherited significant challenges. The Prestea underground mine was flooded, the process plant was non-operational, and the water treatment plant was not functioning. A brand new Suzuki saloon car has been donated to the Pan-African Heritage World Museum in a show of support for Ghana's growing cultural and heritage sector. The donation ceremony took place in Accra, where members of the museum's board and the media gathered to mark the presentation. The vehicle was handed over by Tommy Svanikier, Chief Executive Officer of Svani Group. He encouraged private companies and institutions to support the museum's mission of preserving and promoting African history. According to him, the Suzuki Saloon will help the museum carry out administrative duties and educational outreach programs across the country. The additional mobility is expected to improve coordination, logistics, and program delivery. The Pan-African Heritage World Museum, located near Winneba, is one of the country's most ambitious cultural initiatives. The project aims to reclaim and present African history from African perspectives while serving as a major center for arts, education, and Pan-African identity. Women's organizer for the United Party, Hagia Gloria Amenyu, has urged Ghanaians to take collective responsibility and demand the removal of explicit videos allegedly recorded and circulated online by a foreign national who is accused of luring Ghanaian women, filming intimate encounters without their consent, and publishing the footage for financial gain. Speaking on Newsfile on Joy News on Saturday, February 21st, Hagia Amenyu questioned the role of citizens in the continued spread of the videos, describing the situation as a failure of patriotism and moral duty. "We as Ghanaians have not been patriotic enough. We have so many women on social media, we have the Christian Council, we have the Muslim Council, and the first thing I keep asking myself is who are those sharing the videos?" She asked. The bursar of Ghanata Senior High School, SHS, Lamasai Sarah, has been arrested for the alleged diversion of food supplies intended for students. The arrest was confirmed by the Member of Parliament for Shiosudiku and Greater Accra Regional Minister, Linda Aklo. According to the minister, her office received credible reports in recent weeks indicating that the bursar had been diverting portions of food provisions meant to support student welfare and nutrition. She described the situation as disturbing, stating that the alleged act constitutes a serious breach of trust and public duty, particularly as the supplies are essential for ensuring the proper nourishment of students. Upon receiving the complaints, the minister alerted the constituency's national security apparatus to conduct a discreet investigation. Gunshots were reported on Friday in the Bikpihanu neighborhood, located in the Golfi 1 municipality of Lomé, near Hotel Bravaya. According to witnesses at the scene, armed men allegedly targeted a customer of the establishment who was carrying a briefcase. Several shots were reportedly fired, both into the air and toward the individual. The intended target managed to escape. However, a driver who was present at the scene was injured in the foot during the incident. Togo is reporting progress in electricity access. According to figures released at the end of December 2025 by the Ministry of Energy and Mines, the national electrification rate reached about 75%, up from 70% in 2024. Authorities present the 5-point increase as the result of ongoing investments to expand coverage across the country. Several major projects are cited, including the Blida solar power plant, additional photovoltaic initiatives underway, and programs such as SIZO and the Tinga Fund. These efforts have received support from the World Bank and the Banque West Africaine de Development. On the ground, however, the situation appears more mixed, particularly in Lomé. In neighborhoods such as Agoalinka, Togbulcope, Fidakpi, Daikame, Sivedome, Sangara, and Akado, many households rely on informal electricity connections often referred to locally as spider networks. These improvised setups bypass technical standards and pose serious safety risks. In response, the government has introduced stricter rules to regulate grid connections. Power can no longer be activated without prior technical inspection. Only certified installers and approved bodies are allowed to work on the network. Any connection made outside this framework can lead to financial and criminal penalties. Ghana has decided to take its long-running maritime dispute with Togo to international arbitration. The announcement was made on February 20th by the Ghanaian presidency, according to Anadolu Agency. In an official statement, authorities in Accra said they had informed the Togolese government of their intention to initiate proceedings under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. The aim is to obtain a final ruling on the maritime boundary between the two countries. The Ghanaian government says the move is meant to resolve the dispute peacefully. Officials stress that they want to maintain constructive bilateral relations and avoid further escalation after years of tension over the issue. Pakistan carried out multiple overnight airstrikes across Afghanistan, killing at least 18 people, including women and children, according to the Taliban. Islamabad said the strikes targeted 7 alleged militant camps near the border, following recent suicide bombings in Pakistan. The Afghan government condemned the attacks, saying civilian homes and a religious school were hit. The Taliban confirmed that strikes affected Nangarhar and Paktika provinces. In Gurdi Khas village, only 5 members of a 23-person family survived the attacks, according to a local resident. A Taliban spokesperson confirmed 18 deaths in the family. Other areas, including Burmal and Urgan districts, were also hit, but no casualties were reported there as targeted buildings were empty. Pakistan's Ministry of Information described the operation as intelligence-based selective targeting against members of Tehrik-i-Taliban Pakistan and affiliates of ISIS-Khorasan. The strikes were said to be a retaliatory response to recent attacks in Pakistan, including a suicide bombing at a Shia mosque in Islamabad and other attacks in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. U.S. President Donald Trump has declared he will impose a 15% tariff on imports worldwide, following a Supreme Court decision that struck down his previous global taxes. Initially, Trump had planned to replace the scrap tariffs with a 10% levy on all goods entering the U.S. However, on Saturday, he announced via Truth Social that the rate would rise to the maximum permitted under Section 122 of the 1974 Trade Act. This temporary law allows tariffs to remain for up to 5 months before requiring congressional approval. The original 10% tariffs were scheduled to begin on February 24th. It is unclear if the 15% rate will start at the same time. Countries like the UK and Australia, which had agreed to 10% import deals, face uncertainty under the new rate. As Donald Trump prepares for his State of the Union address, many of the ultra-conservative policies outlined in Project 2025 are already in effect. The 900-page blueprint, developed by the Heritage Foundation before the 2024 election, had previously been publicly disavowed by Trump. Despite his earlier distancing, analysts say roughly half of Project 2025's proposals have been implemented during Trump's first year back in the White House. Measures include a crackdown on immigration, ending federal diversity and inclusion programs, halting billions in foreign aid, and cutting thousands of federal jobs. Project 2025's centerpiece, the Mandate for Leadership, laid out strategies to expand presidential power and reshape federal agencies. Experts note it not only suggested policies but also provided detailed legal and administrative methods for execution. Early moves by the Trump administration reflected these plans, including reorganizing the United States Agency for International Development and restructuring the federal workforce. President Bola Tinubu has congratulated the winners of Saturday's elections in the Federal Capital Territory, Kano, and Rivers states. He urged them to see the mandates given to them by voters as a sacred trust and to serve with humility, patriotism, and dedication. Elections were held for chairmanship and councillorship seats in the 6 FCT area councils, as well as state assembly by-elections in Kano Municipal and Ungogo in Kano, and Ahoda East 2 and Kana 2 in Rivers. According to results announced so far, the All Progressives Congress won in Abaji, Kwali, Abuja Municipal and Bwari councils, while the People's Democratic Party won in Gwagwalada. In Rivers, the APC also captured the 2 state constituency seats contested in the by-elections. Tinubu congratulated the party's national leadership as well as the Kano and Rivers chapters for the victories. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has arrested a woman who allegedly used a fake pregnancy bump to traffic drugs, along with a Lagos-based real estate chief executive accused of running a cannabis distribution network. The agency said both suspects were picked up in separate operations that also led to multiple seizures across several states. At the Somaliland border, operatives intercepted 35-year-old businesswoman Rabi Mohammed as she attempted to cross into Benin Republic with 3,200 tramadol, 225 milligrams capsules tied around her waist and hidden under an artificial baby bump. She was taken into custody after officers discovered the drugs during a routine search. In a related operation, NDLEA officers at the Lagos airport arrested a man identified as Anunwa Onyinai Michael, also known as Muhammadu Gohuri, who had ingested 82 wraps of cocaine. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo has called for major reforms at the National Open University of Nigeria, including the restoration of its suspended law program. He described the law degree as vital for widening access to professional education, especially for working adults and those unable to attend regular universities. Obasanjo made the appeal in Abeokuta when he received the new noun vice-chancellor, Professor Uduma, and members of his management team. He urged the institution to modernize its operations, increase student enrollment, and make better use of technology and artificial intelligence in teaching and learning. The former president, who once studied at Noun and played a key role in its growth, praised the university's contributions to expanding access to higher education across Nigeria. He, however, stressed that the school must constantly innovate to remain competitive and responsive to national needs.